think things like the Braum rise up as well, Yasuo, anything that can wind wall that bullet time or disrupt that bullet time can be very effective. And you know what disrupts things very well? An explosive cask to the face. So Razork will get his Gragas. There's the Braum as well. I would give myself credit for the prediction, but it's a relatively easy one to make.
Now, again, we'll see if Trick follows that up, if he himself grabs the Jarvan, if they decide that they want to take a different matchup into the Gragas in particular. You could also grab the Leona here, and then you get the MF, Leona, Jarvan. You just press R together and you watch someone hopefully explode.
I'm sure Flowers would have a great name for it. We're actually hovering a Sett right now. The Cataclysm of Solar Fire time.
We'll workshop that one.
Yeah, we'll workshop that one. Ornn, of course, does a very similar thing, can actually set you up for the initial bullet time or for the Cataclysm, so that's going to be picked for Sacre, we expect, in the top lane. I believe he played 2 Ornn games last week as well.
He has been on Ornn duty, poor Sacre. It's funny, because he kind of came into our league, and he was like the mage top laner guy. A bunch of Nico was all the big pick, his Vladimir, and now, like, 3 games back-to-back, you're playing Ornn, buddy, and you will like it.
His team has a very specific role for him. He guards the edge of team fights. And we'll see if that's how he fits into their composition once again today. The Xayah is the final pick for Misfits, so it is an AD carry, but with Senna being open, that's a little bit surprising.
With Varus as well, who pairs very well with the Braum. I'm actually really surprised for the Xayah pickup here. Tells me that they look at Jarvan, Misfortune, Ornn, and they're like, we need the extra security and safety with Xayah's ultimate because we don't have like a Tom Kench, so maybe that's why they're dissuading against going something like a Varus, that you're too easy of a target in that backline.
Does mean, though, of course, Misfits now with the first ban of this second ban phase can get rid of the Leona. We're not going to see her supporting SK. And I wonder what else you would get rid of if you're Misfits here.
Do you think you double support ban and go Leona Thresh?
I actually think Thresh is a good shout, although can be a little bit difficult to play into Braum and Xayah, because as soon as you land, you go for a hook, Braum just jumps onto the Xayah, and then when Xayah has ult, she can just ult away from your hooks. It becomes just that little bit trickier, but Cassiopeia taken away by SK, aiming that one towards Febiven in the mid lane, and now Misfits. I wouldn't mind another support ban. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else more powerful.
Well, because they have second rotation coming out of red side by banning Diana, they can very quickly snap grab a safe blind pick like LeBlanc.
Yeah. And it means they get rid of the Solari-Lunari combo as well, which is very important lore-wise. Get rid of both the sun and the moon when you're banning things out. It's an eclipse on Summoner's Rift. Misfits. There's the LeBlanc, so SK were on the same track as you there, Froskurinn, realizing that LeBlanc could be
Grab your top laner here, you know it's Ornn. You can get a free lane.
Sett is good into Ornn. Sett is good into Ornn. Come on. Come on, do it for me. I didn't get enough cool wrestling phrases out last time. And it means you can counter pick mid as well.
Yeah, they're definitely going to grab their top laner here.
Yeah, but is it going to be Sett?
I hope so for you.
Yeah! In before does nothing for the entire game.
He's against an Ornn. It should be much easier this time around, yeah?
It should be, but I have minimal faith after the Nocturne games of last week. SK here looking for a safe mid laner for Jenax. Zoe would be an interesting one. Of course, very easy to farm from range. It is going to be picked.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Ornn support? Ornn support. See, I don't think Ornn support's great because it takes way too long to get towards level 12 and level 13.
Rakan can be really fun into Braum because it's hard to lock him down.
It's true. But if you do lock him down in the middle of his dashes, you stun him in place, which means it doesn't get that extra little buffering time that some other champions do. And I think Ornn support perhaps was a pipe dream from me. Got a little overexcited when I saw top laners hovered. The Rakan will be locked, separated from Xayah for this game, and now Denyk will be looking for that mid lane pick for Febiven. If you had an option, where would you go first? Well, you do have an option. You can choose.
For Febi?
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't have Syndra, LeBlanc, Cassie. I mean, he could go for something like a Rise. There's a lot of mid lane bans actually down on the table. Azir, if you wanted to.
Qiyana. Snuck all the way through picks and bans.
See, I was thinking like the range. You gotta try to keep up with the range of the Zoe, and he's like, I'm not even gonna play this lane.
Just stealth it. Stealth it all over the place. Of course, Qiyana was nerfed for the jungle, but mostly has to be played as a mid laner now. Her attack speed per level was reduced, which means you just don't get enough levels in the jungle for it to be worth it. But when you hit around that level 16, level 17 mark, is actually a slight buff. But it obviously takes a while to get towards that level. So, compositionally, Froskurinn, what are we looking at here?
I think it's pretty clear that both these teams have great team fight execution. My eyes are going to be on this Sett versus Ornn matchup and how this one's going to play out, since the first time around with Aatrox versus Sett didn't feel great to watch. And I hope that for SK's sake that they can get a similar outcome here, because I'd really like to see a Sett pop off.
So would I. We'll see if that is the case this game as the coaches shake hands. And SK and Misfits.
Oh, nailed it!
Yeah, they got it this time. Hey, it's difficult to shake two hands at once. Okay?
Very well executed coaching staff of SK and Misfits.
I mean, the crowd has gone wild for it. They think that, that like doing a double handshake is almost impossible. It's like medically speaking, we don't suggest it. It's a good way to sprain a muscle.
You Phil here.
Thanks Froskurinn. I do see Trick on your screens. Came into Schalke at the end of, in the middle of summer last year, or at the start of summer, and really actually changed their fortunes. Took them from about a 7th place team to a 4th place team. Wonder if he can do the same for SK. There's a lot of newer players there, of course. Limit, the only rookie on the team, but Sacre, Jenax, and Crownshot do not have a lot of stage experience.
I think Trick got a bad rap in week #1. I know Inder in particular went in on Trick. Everyone will remember him doing like less than 300 damage on his Rek'Sai in 20 minutes. Be like, oh, what is he doing? What a terrible player.
That may have been me.
Yeah, you're the problem.
Yeah, it wasn't Ender.
I think Trick did exactly fine. Vitality in that game were so focused on the monster objectives, and Trick was, as we heard from Origin's coach, the monster objectives just didn't really mean anything at the time. So Trick was like, I'd rather just hard farm it. And that's what he did. Picked up some free Drakes, hard farmed quite effectively, showed up for the team fights, they won the game. What's there to complain about?
We do have an in-game pause, which is why we're taking a quick break here. Both Frosk and I are cracking open our Kit Kats.
Am I supposed to shove this in my mouth?
You don't have to. I was just a bit peckish, I'll be honest.
Twitch chat just lost it right there. My bad.
They obviously really want Kit Kats as well. But yes, so I'm chewing now, which is not the smartest idea when you're trying to talk. And I made you chew as well, which isn't smart at all.
You gave me chocolate, I was gonna eat it.
Okay, so we talked about compositionally. SK have this like big wombo combo. You've got the Rakan jumping onto the back line, you've got the Jarvan, you've got the Ornn. Everything sets up incredibly well. We didn't talk too much about how Misfits composition is going to work together. You said we expect to see Febi roaming early on. DanDan should have a winning matchup in the top lane, but if we do get towards those later portions of the game, which we have tended to do, how are they going to go around team fighting?
I think it's always going to be about a Qiyana. I have this feeling about Qiyana that when certain teams are obsessed with Barons and Dragons and you have to fight against them, Qiyana's value just exponentially rises, because eventually you will have to go towards that pit. And if your Qiyana hits you with an ultimate, it's game over.
Oh, Sett.
Speaking of game over.
Is it going to be game, set, and match early on? It's not.
That's the classic walk in a straight line, get out of danger, scot-free.
Sett really can't do too much more. He doesn't have a dash. He has no way of getting away from a fight. This ward will spot SK as they go for the invade. We have tended to see either junglers or supports go for an early oracles to clearing out some of this vision, making it a little bit trickier for Misfits to know if SK have stayed around.
The classic ward over the back of the dragon pit. See if junglers who can very easily flag and drag over walls can try to split map on you, which is what that ward is. That's the check for Jarvan flag and drag ward.
It's also the level 2 Jarvan gank ward. You know, if Trick goes across there, we'll see Bvoy and Denyk getting caught out pretty easily, and Bvoy doesn't have the huge amount of mobility early on, really level 6 before you get that Featherstorm and the escape. But they know Razork started on the top side with DanDan. And Limit will know now that there's a ward there. However, Trick has started top side of the map. Maybe looking to put that Sett behind, or maybe just saying he's pathing down towards bot, so he's not looking to put a Sett behind.
And I'm going to make the assumption that both teams know, obviously with the ward from SK on Razork's red buff, and then the vision from Crownshot and Limit walking into lane, that both SK and Misfits recognize that the junglers are starting on the top side of the map, so they need to be extra careful about how they're setting up waves in the mid and bot side of the map, because those two lanes are exposed to potential ganks this side. And as I say that, Trick is not going over the dragon, he is just sprinting towards this blue buff.
Misfits haven't had any vision on this. Trick's going to flag and drag across, but Razork tanking up the blue. It's going to be a smite fight. Who's going to win it? No one wants to order that. Here we go. Trick gets it. Razork.
Like I'm saying,
3 buffs.
Trick got a lot of flack. Trick plays a very efficient punish in the jungle game.
But he's still done no damage to champions, Frosk, and that's all I care about.
manages to steal the buff away. He's now going to 3 buff. We've seen how quickly things can get out of hand if you get an experienced lead in the jungle. This is obviously not going to help, and it was set up by the fact that Jenax, Crownshot, and Limit got pushed forward in the lane, giving them priority and first rotation to allow Trick to rock up into that blue buff and just start punching Gragas in the face.
For the moment, no real jungle ganks likely to come out. We'll see if either of them decide to get a gank off before their first back. I like this from DanDan. Pushed up the wave. We said it would be a lot easier for the Sett into the Ornn, basically because the Ornn isn't ranged. And Aatrox is pseudo-ranged with his Darkin Blade, so it becomes a lot harder for Sacre to get that harass off without feeling the fists of DanDan.
And also with the vision that DanDan has placed here, it could give his poor little Gragas some more opportunity to farm, because Trick actually hasn't reset yet. He has cleared all 3 buffs, then took Krug Camp. I believe now he's taking Scuttle.
Limit's coming up here as well. Wave pushing in towards Bvoy and Denyk. Limit could look for an early gank on Febi. Now the wave will slowly push towards Jenax.
Because there's the 3 caster creeps alive. That should be okay. Oh, now it will push.
Yeah.
That was actually a smart timing from Limit there. So what happened is that Crownshot and Limit both disappeared in the fog of war. Crownshot, of course, took his back. He's then using the movement speed from Misfortune that he could very quickly get back into the lane. So Limit was just testing to see if Febi would step forward, because the assumption could have been that both Limit and Crownshot were back at base, and Limit didn't take a walkabout towards that mid lane.
And it's the thing with supports early on, if your AD carry wants to go back and get like another Doran's Blade, or here, for example, double longsword, you really have nothing to buy at this point in the game, right? You're looking for early boots, you're looking maybe get some health in the lane, or go towards a Gargoyle Stone Plate if you're playing something like a Leona. So that level 2, level 3 roam can catch a lot of people out by surprise.
Thank you, observers, for pointing out that ward. Really important because Gragas walked over it. It's a useful ward for all of your solo queue games that you can check when the enemy jungler is making a run towards your camps. Aw, poor Razork.
Poor Razork, but there's a big wave here.
Trick's been sitting in this bush for a long time.
Here comes the Predator. And there he goes. No food on the menu for Razork. He's Gragas, he prefers wine anyway.
Trick, really good read on the enemy jungle. I think it was also because there was a ward up into the top side, so had to take the assumption that Trick could be waiting in that brush. Didn't go for it. Febi also doesn't have a lot of mana.
Febi is going to get that back off. You are looking, if you're Misfits, towards that level 6. That's when your combo... Oh, yeah, that's sad. Anyway, you are looking for those level 6s. You want Qiyana level 6, Gragas level 6, Sett. DanDan has just hit level 6. You can see him harassing Sacre out of lane. Of course, the Ornn with the Bellows Breath is unstoppable, which means you can't then pull him back with the Face Breaker. And you, like, if you're Ornn there, you can predict that's going to happen. So it's pretty easy for you to save your W for when you want.
DanDan is going to get a TP advantage here, or, I mean, theoretically, he could try to teleport back into the lane and take a really big trade. I'll hold it, though, because Jenax.
A little bit of damage going down. Denyk is building a wall, but he's building it in the wrong direction.
Cool. Thank you, observers. So, with the crash that DanDan just created, forcing Sacre to TP back, it does mean that he gets the cheater recall, if you will, and walk his way back up into the lane, not really missing anything. Now has a Phage in his back pocket.
Phage early on, going towards that black cleaver you would expect will help him out, trying to shred through this Ornn, who will become obviously more and more tanky as the game goes on. Sacre has gone for the Catalyst of Aeons early.
And the caster creeps are, oh, they were all targeting the same minion, so the wave is slowly going to push back towards DanDan. That is a very feels bad moment for poor little Ornn. Really good
feels good moment for the Sett though, and with a possibility of Febiven roaming up as well, it makes it even harder for Sacre to play that lane. It does have exhaust, has the flash, running that unsealed spellbook, but now what DanDan can do is try and, you know, pull these minions, funnel them down towards one of his, and keep that lane in an ideal position.
It means that over the next few minutes, if Sacre doesn't get some assistance, he can get zoned off this wave, and you're going to start seeing a big opening between Sett and Ornn. It's also why Gragas is starting to spend some time up here, because he knows Ornn is going to have to start overextending for these creeps.
I expect that we'll see Trick on his way towards top. Now, Razork knows when his blue went down. He's trying to get in here and see if he can steal away the second blue from Trick, but DanDan fighting up against Sacre in the top lane. There's the facebreaker. Bellow's Breath wasn't safe for it. The Conqueror has procced, but DanDan is healing up. He still has that ult, still has the flash, can isolate a target pretty rapidly. Jenax has the flash. Let's wait. Razork, he's gone to sleep. Here comes Trick, flashing forward. EQ flash away though, and Febiven knocks him back into the wall. Trick was tricked by Misfits. Jenax looking to flash forward here. We'll get one in return.
That was a Lummy snicket of events. Very unfortunate, very strange.
Oh,
Want to see the replay?
Featherstorm. Not going to be able to get any of those concussive blows. Was looking for the root, of course.
I think I got psyched out with that mid lane play. I was like, is he gonna check the bush? Is he not gonna walk into him? Okay, let's see what happens. Jenax seems to smell this one.
Yeah.
And Razork doesn't immediately just try to bounce on him. I don't think he can see him around the corner. He's just waiting for him to walk by.
And then Trick's like, I'm coming, I'm coming!
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna say...
It doesn't land the EQ.
I'm gonna say outplay initially by Jenax to suspect. I wish we could see it from the vision. I'm sure that being around the corner, he was actually just hiding. And then Febiven with the Qiyana burst damages manages to make it a 1-for-1.
Interestingly though, Febiven still has his flash. Jenax has barrier but burnt his flash. So maybe there's an opportunity to punish there in the mid lane. You can see the effect of that freeze paying off just a tad in the top lane. DanDan has about a 5 CS lead.
Yeah, I'm really curious what happened to the wave, because DanDan had the ability that he could have pulled the wave to his side, but maybe he took some really aggressive trades, hit some minions in between it, and then it managed to push back towards Sacre. So Sacre not really falling behind in a matchup that we thought he could get punished in.
Yeah. It's okay, but I think it depends on your perspective of it all, Frosk, doesn't it? Because you could say, Sacre's not falling behind, but DanDan is also being allowed to scale. He's not being put so far behind as we saw in the last game. So maybe that's all DanDan's playing for. Maybe all he wants is, 2-3 items before he can really pop off on this set. He's gone Tiamat second. Usually see Titanic Hydra as part of the set build, just for that extra wave clear. It actually looks like both these teams foregoing Cloud Drake, instead bringing their supports and their AD carries up towards the top side to play around the Rift Herald.
Yeah, it seems like both these teams, if they can get access to the Rift Herald, are caring more about the farm and the potential plates. I do like that you bring up the itemization from Sett. I believe it was Black Cleaver and Gargoyle Stone Plate from the
last game,
set. So obviously DanDan already out the gate, really itemizing towards a 1v1 or a side lane versus a team fight.
There's some really cool builds with Sett as well. I've seen on Korean solo queue ladder getting a Phantom Dancer for the pure 1v1 power and the team fight shield you get out of it as well. So I am very interested to see how DanDan builds. I've even seen support Sett, which of course I'm not seeing in this game, but I will be trying out when I get home.
And kind of back to your question, I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Oh, maybe not. Glacier Fish coming down. Crownshot's going to be stunned underneath the tower. Limit going in. Quickness won't connect, but Crownshot's still alive. Oh, no, he's not. Razork brings down the pain as the cast connects. Denyk's going to land one more Winter's Bite, but no further chase for Misfits.
Yeah, the reach around there from Gragas, just the from the three.
From the 3-point line.
Just dunks him. I was like, oh, I think he's going to be. Narrator, he was not okay. I was going to say, going back to your Ornn versus Sett point, what is this better for, an Ornn that doesn't get put down or a Sett that gets a free lane? Again, I think it really does have flexibility to what they itemize for. If Sett is going to be playing exclusively on a side lane, where obviously Ornn is such a low-resource team-fighting champion.
The Rift Tower being started up. Trick's looking for the steal, goes in with the Cataclysm, but Bvoy still has the Featherstorm. Trick's gonna get stunned up. The bullet time coming in from the side, but the unbreakable wall was put up. And Denyk was able to stop most of that damage coming in. Febiven here on the chase. We'll get one more. Misfits, 3-1 up early on, 1,000 gold in the lead as well. They just picked up the Rift Tower. This is a great start for them. Yeah,
and Febiven being a real difference maker for the early game for Misfits. That's twice now that the supreme display of talent has come out at a crucial moment, and especially, as you pointed out, that last team fight in tandem with Denyk's Braum there, absorbing a lot of that damage. Take another look at it. Trick's just trying to buy time, while you can see Misfortune and Rakan on the map getting there in time. Trick's like, we can no longer wait. Goes in, the Misfortune ultimate, then just getting eaten by that perfect Braum shield.
It's just, it's felt a little bit too easy for Misfits, right? Like, it's very good positioning and they're playing the fights well, but SK kind of just funneled into them. Trick was trying to get in with the Cataclysm, but didn't really anticipate Bvoy having the Featherstorm back up, so he was just able to escape. And now, one of the key carries for the mid game for Misfits, Febiven, has the Duskblade finished and his Moby Boots. Like, he's going to be all over the map, and it's going to be very hard for SK to find an avenue to shut that down.
Yeah, he's all over the map, and he has kill pressure virtually on anyone on the map at this point, so that's the scary thing. And I have to kind of go back to the first pick priority of misfortune for SK. You know, is this going to be a worrying trend that we see going forward with SK?
Jacked.
Well, doesn't feel great when Braum immediately counters you.
Jenax puts up the barrier early on. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble doesn't connect. Bvoy stepping forward here. He's about half his health for a real apparent reason. Maybe he was looking for the stun. DanDan trading in. Sacre able to just searing charge his way to safety. But now, Misfits, they want the first turret of the game before those plates fall. They have the Rift Herald. They have 5 players all on the top side of the map. They're giving up Cloud Drake for this, but that turret is donezo.
Across map, however, it is being traded for both the Cloud and a lot of plate and gold going into Crownshot's back pocket.
I mean, it's good for Crownshot, but I do worry a little bit about a misfortune being the person that's ahead, right? Because you look at the enemy team, and I see Razork, Febi, Denyk to a degree, and DanDan, who can all kind of say, well, I'm just going to jump on you now in this fight, and you're not really going to be able to do too much.
I mean, it's entirely a fair point, but who else would you really put it in the pocket of? You have
I'd put it on limit. A good Rakan player wins any game. Jenax trying to get away here, but he's rooted in place, knocked back into the turret.
So well played.
And Febi is on a killing spree, 3-0 on Qiyana.
Yeah, just making it look way too easy here. Febiven decided to really flex. He had a pretty poor week 1 showing, but has popping off on this Qiyana, now 3-0. And as you just perfectly pointed out, yeah, if your misfortune gets a lot of your team's gold, but you have a Qiyana that exists.
Yeah.
It's not going to feel fun.
Not at all. 2,000 gold lead now for Misfits as we approach the 15-minute mark. They haven't prioritized early objectives. Instead, they've looked for kills. They've looked for turret plates. Only 1 plate advantage for them. Obviously, they've taken a plate and missed the gold for it somewhere. That's why they're on 600 instead of 720. Which would be the total amount for 6 plates.
Are you sure you're a doctor, not a mathematician?
A mathematician?
Mathematician.
Are you sure you're a caster, not a lexicographer?
That word's too big for me.
Yeah, same. I couldn't get the words out quickly enough. And okay, we approach what I will define as mid-game, although it tends to last until around, 30 minutes in most of these games.
Define mid-game is kind of when the map begins to open up, or in the last tower before the map opens up. So usually when the initial grouping starts happening.
So you'd say two towers down, that's when we really get into mid-game usually?
That's usually when kind of like the first item is completed, you're starting to group up, get more heavy skirmishes. That for me is mid-game.
Yeah, well, speaking of first items, S10 LEC on both the AD carries. That Black Cleaver is finished by DanDan, electing to finish that before he got the Titanic Hydra, which is where we expect him to go. Sacre playing a little bit for the solo lane with the Iceborne Gauntlet, not knowing he has to at least be able to put up with DanDan, if not beat him.
It also means that if you put multiple resources from SK into a side lane to try to chase DanDan down, that they do have the potential on a long lane to try to punish him. Still a little bit dangerous though, because it's a Zoe mid lane versus something that might run another teleport. So
we'll see where it goes, because it feels like both the teams have kind of said, okay, we need to play around mid right now. We need to try and get this mid lane turret down. But with the threat of Febi in a side lane, you can see Crownshot has to react to that.
I think it's Misfits actually playing more so for the bottom lane. If they can get priority in mid lane and then get an early rotation down bottom, they're actually just going to force Sacre to back off the tower because of the threat of the dive.
Yeah, you can see it happening right here. Like, all that Misfits did was push out mid and then, oh, I need to make sure I'm drawing properly, push out mid and then bring everyone down towards the bottom lane like this to make sure that they were able to give DanDan some safety.
And that's always going to help because of the speed and mobility that Febiven's going to have on the Qiyana, that she can very easily play both top and mid lane, and because she has so much kill pressure right now, or assassination potential, if she catches anyone, she'll pop them. Or if she gets caught, maybe here, Febi knows.
I mean, it's smart. You know there's no vision, you know they're pushing towards your turret, and you know Trick is there. Here comes Limit with the charm, the Quick is coming out, and there's the Ignite as well. Febi gets the double stun, he's trying to trade into it, but he just can't do it. Shut down. Trick will get the kill.
And Febiven knew, we saw it and how he was positioning. He's like, they're probably in that bush, but Didn't manage to check the other bush, so outthought by SK Gaming there, and it's going to feel very nice into Trick's back pocket, who can now afford more tank itemization to feel very confident diving on that back line.
And you can see it's Misfits who had the lion's share of the gold. Trick sitting very much in the middle of the pack, but DanDan, Febi, and Bvoy all over that 6,500 mark, where no one from SK has hit that yet. They'll be there very soon. And with another Rift Herald, well, with their first of the game, but with a Rift Herald, SK will be looking to try and probably crack mid lane if they can, maybe top.
You would imagine, just because cracking mid lane is of course going to give you more access to the jungle, and because you have a Zoe or a Jenax on the Zoe, as soon as you get access to play around in that jungle and start using Zoe's like long-range catch potential, I think that's when the composition can get stronger for SK Gaming.
SK have looked to Jenax in the past to be their savior, be their salvation. Here on the Zoe's, finish that Luden's Echo building, perhaps up towards a stop Zhonya's Hourglass with the Seeker's Arm Guard. Could just be using it for the flat armor that it provides. We'll see how he decides to transition the rest of his build, but DanDan, a level up over Sacre, has been pretty threatening in the side lane. Misfits kind of playing a 1-3-1 right now, with DanDan up top, Febiven down bot, and Sacre maybe going to call it as Trick and Limit are on their way. There's a tower there for DanDan to get to, and the showstopper will pull Trick back. Not really much you can do about that.
Very nicely done to interrupt the flag and drag, and then just kind of cruise through the animation, walk to safety underneath your own tower, which means across map, Misfits are going to win out here. They're getting good chip damage on the mid lane tower, and then also picking up the dragon. Now, Crowny will get that top structure with Trick shadowing underneath him.
Sleep just landed there on Bvoy! Oh, that's not fair. Jenax just did a lot of damage right there. Bvoy able to get away, did have to burn the heal.
Look at Gragas. Febiven's also here. This is a potential flank from Misfits.
But with the Rift Herald coming down, it's a little bit more tricky to do because you're not going to have a tower to protect you for too long, and Jenax can still just put the damage down from the side. Rift Herald's going to charge in, and that will be the turret falling, and Rift Herald gets his charge, her charge off.
So that big chunk out on Bvoy, I agree with you. I think the positioning was also kind of the other half of it. But Bvoy losing all of his health, I think means that Misfits had the potential to try to counter that play that SK Gaming were putting up in the mid lane by looking for a flank, by trying to start a team fight. But with their AD carry so low, they just had to disengage from it. And over the last probably 3-minute exchange, where it felt like Misfits had gotten the dragon, they'd gotten the tower that they were winning, SK now swung it back in their favor. Yeah,
it's only 1,000 gold between the two teams now. SK being able to close that gap. You have Shirelia's Reverie finished on limit, so he's got even more engaged potential. And I believe, yes, Gargoyles is there for Trick. So if he jumps into a fight, he's not just going to be burst down as he previously would have. It's very hard as well for Bvoy to actually pressure this tower solo. Misfits need to get a few more people around here, set up good vision, because otherwise Jenax can just clear the wave with a paddle staff.
Let's see if I can do this. So usually when you want to get this tower, you push here, and then you cut in, and you try to zone them off the structure, and then that's how you slowly get chip damage over mid-tower and slowly take it away. But because SK are doing such a good job contesting for vision in that topside river, it means that Febiven can never get that safe flank that he needs to dissuade SK from stepping on that structure, and then combined with the wave clear, I think Misfits are actually just stalling out here. They're just giving free gold into SK's waiting hands while they're trying to figure out how to crack this map or solve the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we talk about with, good and great teams, is that distinction between knowing how to play your composition and then working out how to solve issues with your composition in-game, right? Like, the ability to work out, well, exactly how do we break the enemy team's defenses? How do we break their defensive line? Because if you're not able to work that out, and you don't just have a draft that outplays the enemy, it's very difficult to get these fights in your terms.
What I would actually suggest is that they play Febiven in a different lane. Because there's no tower up into the top side, it's not like Febiven up there can trade a structure, because he's the one who's really strong. I would actually almost prefer that they swap into the bottom side of the map, try to play for that inner structure, and try to drag SK around by dealing with this Qiyana.
Or Trick can just face check into them and almost die. Razork also has flank position here. I won't be able to find too much more out of it. You can see Febiven is on his way across, but there's some good wards here from SK just to spot anything going on. They don't have as much vision as they thought they had a moment ago, but they know Febi isn't in the top lane, so he
They're going to try to use the cask. Because the thing is teams with Gragas should be able to siege decently well, because you just need a nice cask on a numbers disadvantage to sweep them off the structure.
Sacre chucking down the Ignite so he can get the teleport back. There's the cast. Trick's the one knocked forward, but DanDan has the flank. Oh, I was so excited for a showstopper there, but he decides against it. Chickens out at the final hurdle.
Yeah, I think Misfits, unfortunately, are just kind of continuously funneling gold, because Febiven's walking up into the top lane, he's pushing it forward, someone from SK is just grabbing it, and
yeah.
SK are actually doing a really good job staggering their backs and kind of staggering who goes out to pick up what wave, not being caught out. Again, they've stalled Misfits as Misfits are trying to break this mid tower, and if they just swapped Febi, who has kill pressure, onto the bottom side and tried to play for mid tower and bottom inner tower, they'd probably find more success in either making a pit or at least getting a structure that they can contest.
And we are starting to see that gold payoff and that experience payoff as Sacre is now level 13 and is starting to upgrade those Ornn items. The Iceborne Gauntlet becomes... What's better than Iceborne Gauntlet?
Are you asking me what the item's called?
What's better than Ice Cold? Wait, well, I can't remember the lyrics now. Yeah, what's the item? I don't know the name of the Iceborne Gauntlet upgrade.
I'm not the play-by-play caster. It's not my job to know what the item names are.
Okay, just throw me under the bus. Why don't you, Froskurinn?
I can pull up Google.
The Iceborne Gauntlet. No, okay. The very cold Gauntlet of Death, and then, of course, the Infinity Edge upgrade, which is called the...
Very important Infinity Edge of Death.
The Molten Edge.
Okay.
See, that one I do know. But yes, those upgrades usually provide about 1,000 gold on average worth of stats. The Adaptive Helm provides 1,800 extra gold if you upgrade that, so expect to see someone pick that one up, although there's mostly AD. Well, basically only AD on the side of Misfits apart from Razork.
Okay, hold on, we might get a team fight.
Nope.
We didn't get a team fight. There's still time, hold on.
Okay, look, you're not the play-by-play. Don't go for these team fights, Frosk.
We've been
Don't
stuck
set me up for excitement
so long
and then just dash my hopes against the rocks.
in this tug-of-war mid lane where we're just pushing waves back and forth. Oh wait, hold on, Febiven.
Oh, please, stop saying, oh wait. Oh, Jenax! Oh.
That was...
Denyk's playing on 60 ping, apparently. Febi almost dies.
ambitious is what I'll call it.
Yeah, ambitious.
Okay, but we've been stalled out so long here that the dragon, I think, went through its entire cooldown, and SK managed to pick it up, and we're still here in the mid lane.
Yes. Sorry, I'm Googling Iceborne Gauntlet upgrade.
Okay.
So you keep...
Well, I'll play by play, don't worry.
It's a fight! Showstopper coming in, Sacre trying to survive, but DanDan takes him down. You could have told me there was a fight while I was Googling, Frost.
I forgot.
Okay. So,
okay, so they finally swept him off, but that's what we wanted this entire time. And what did we say? We're like, they should probably play bot side because they can get the tower there. Now, they didn't pull Febiven to do it, but they did pull Gragas. So eventually, Misfits did find the answer and managed to push this game forward a lot. Medic, you get round 2, try.
Oh, here we go, Sacre caught out by Razork, great knockback. And then you gotta watch out because the RKO is coming down.
Oh, that was really good.
Thanks.
No,
oh, do you need to play?
Not you.
Yeah.
Sett's ultimate was really good right there.
It stops you being unstoppable if you're trying to run away, so it's pretty cool. But yes, that is the first we've really seen of Sett gameplay this game. He's got a 40 CS lead. It's the Cataclysm comes down onto Bvoy. He pops the Feather Sword, flashes away, but the chase from Limited on as he overextended. Here comes the TP. Quarter of the Forge God was met. DanDan going into base breaker, looking to melt some heads. Can't quite take down Crownshot. Trick's able to get away as well. Razork jumping in, catches Jenax, and he's done. Great play by Misfits.
Yeah, Misfits took everything in the kitchen sink, and now we see why that Xayah was picked. It's her ability to disengage and survive all that engagement. And then DanDan comes in, and Misfortune only gets out simply because DanDan's ultimate has just come off of cooldown because he used it in the bot lane with Ornn. Now gives them access to this Baron. Here we go.
Limit coming in. Sacre there as well. No ultimate for him. Limit doesn't have the quickness either. Now Febi, they've just spotted him. Is Crownshot going to change his path? The Baron down to 2,000. It's gone before they can get there. SK give it up. Misfits get the first Baron of the game at the 26-minute mark, and with it a 5,000 gold lead.
But will they get the mid lane tower? That is what
I hope so.
We've been praying for as we take another look at that one. I believe it's, okay, there's one ultimate on Bvoy. There's 2 ultimates. And the Rakan still follows him all the way back there. Survives, walks out of it. The Ornn ultimate comes down, excellently absorbed by the Braum. And then here comes DanDan. And again, just because he doesn't have his ultimate, Misfortune is able to limp away from that fight.
Yeah, and Jenax just knocked back in. Razork's had some very good body slam flashes. He's been able to connect very effectively. Now finishes Zhonya's Hourglass. There's the Sterax for DanDan. We'll see where he goes from that.
I would imagine into a side lane with Baron.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Getting the lifeline passive from from Sterax makes you even harder to kill. And of course, you are very, very tanky when you get that shield up from the Haymaker. Razork's going to clean out some vision. Mid lane tower, the target. A minute and 50 seconds left on the Baron buff as Limit goes in. Trick looking for the engage as well. Bvoy's locked up. The Call of Fortune coming out. They're trying to get the kill, but look at the damage coming out from Febiven. Trick is already down. Razork has the flank, and they're just going to stun lock this Ornn in place. Sacre, well, that was not good as Febiven just deletes someone. They're looking for the chase as the bullet time comes down. Jenax able to get underneath this tower, but not able to do too much more.
And reminder that Sett spent that entire fight just walking towards the fight itself. So that was a 4v5. Oh. I think it was a 4v4 to start. Misfortune only showed up at the very end.
Look at the damage coming out from Bvoy. He did wonder last week after he had statistically one of the worst performances ever in the history of the LEC, whether he'd be able to show up this week. Well, 5,500 damage on this Xayah, dodging all the skill shots, dodging all the ults with that Featherstorm. Of course, have to remember he did play in the LPL for LGD. Sorry,
JDG.
That's the one. I have it in my notes, but it's just lots of letters.
He played for Jingdong. As we take another look at this team fight, Limit was trying to pull the Hilly. He was looking for a very deep flank. He was caught, however, a good disengage and good absorption of falling back to the backline with Bvoy and then fighting front to back. And reminder again that Misfortune and Sett weren't in the fight.
Yeah, Misfortune was nowhere near it. Crownshot used the bullet time right at the end, but Febby still finding his mark. Edge of Night now finished on him alongside the Yumus and the Dustblade. Trick really unable to get anywhere near his jungle, has a 2-level disadvantage. 2 levels in the top lane. Razork starting up the Infernal Dragon. More important to clear the ward first, but I wonder if we'll see a soul this game, because we're still 10 minutes away from one if we do. And Misfits seem to be finding fights without actually having to play around objectives too much.
I mean, on an open map, Misfits' composition can be really scary in their ability to engage, because again, Febiven is on the hunt, and then you have the long-range reach of Gragas. They can play both side lanes, because it's an Ornn Zoe versus a Qiyana Sett. And I kind of have to go back to the head-scratcher of SK's drafting, the fact that it was the priority of the Misfortune. They got denied into the Braum. They blind-picked the Ornn itself, giving virtually a free matchup for Sett. He was just able to scale up, do whatever he wanted.
Febby's just trying to get down towards this bottom side. Trick will use the flag. Now they know he's there. You're going to take this fight. Looks like they are. Sacre going forward, looking for the knockup. The charm comes out. Lots of damage already onto Febiven. Pops the supreme display of talent. They're still in the chase. He's got stealth. Can you get away from the Forge God, Febby? Not today. Shut down for Limit as SK find a man in the side lane.
Yeah, and the fortunate thing is that Misfits didn't have waves prepared and ready for Febiven to be that far forward. So it's not like they can trade Febiven's death for trying to take down a structure.
They do get a lot of damage on that inhibitor turret, of course. The quick auto-attacking using Sett's passive and the knuckle down means you can get about 4 autos in quickly. Use the reset from the Titanic Hydra as well to get a fit. And do a lot of damage. Limit here is walking across a lot of wards, so I don't really think that DanDan should be too nervous. Oracle's automation will time out before he can even clear that one away, but for the moment, DanDan backs away. He respects the fact that SK could be grouped up. It feels like we might just be waiting for the next Baron to come up here, Frosk.
Waiting for the next Baron, or at least waiting for everyone to be back alive and ready on the map so teams can start setting up their waves and trying another siege potential. But yeah, I agree with you. It's probably a monster objective game to game.
So because we have a little bit of time, I say, as Razork Predator's in, and he sliced it away. Oh, poor Jenax. I saw that. I think it went to single-digit HP. It was at least double digits. That's a shame for him. But yeah, as we have a little time, let's talk a little bit about how these teams look compared to their Week 1 performances, because both of them in Week 1, I think, were relatively weak. Like, SK had one game against Vitality that they won, but perhaps shouldn't have. Misfits went 0-2 with a Nocturne top in one of their games, so how do you feel that they've developed or evolved in the last week?
I mean, I'm liking to see the fact that DanDan is still looking for carry-oriented champions up into the top lane. I like to see him on something like the Sett. His big pick for me last split was something like his Jax. So I like that there's still that identity. And I think it's just kind of for Misfits figuring out what they are without a leader in that mid lane and kind of where Febiven fits into that. And Febiven's looked much better in this game than he did last week. I think that there was a kind of an outcry when leader was removed from the squad or left the team that, oh, you know, Febiven's not performing for us. We lost our assassin player. Where do we go from here? And everything seems to be shoring up and filling up the holes. And then it's just how much experience do you need on these new players like new jungler, new support before they start competing with the middle of the pack of the LEC.
Yeah, I think like the expectation is they will be bottom 4, maybe competing for a playoff spot, maybe around that 6 mark if they can continue their improvement.
Sorry, that back was very, very close. He looked death in the eyes and he said goodbye.
Got away, it's fine. Misfits, though, are setting up towards this top side. Baron is live. I have a moderately quick Baron taking team, although not the fastest in the world. Bvoy being at 4 items will definitely help them with that, but looks like Razork's looking for a flank and trick, limit, Sacre and Jenax just walk away from it, not having any of that.
Yeah, it should just be the push forward of the minion wave in mid lane here, and then they'll walk towards the Baron. We'll see if they start it while DanDan zones.
DanDan, highest level in the game at 18. We'll be able to do a lot of work, and the thing is, you can't really let him get behind you because all he's going to do is take one of your big carries and ult him into the enemy team. Now, the Baron down to 6,000. Trick is up towards the top side of this. Febby has a good flank position as well. DanDan behind Jenax, behind Limit.
This is your moment, Trick.
Steals. They're hoping he steals. He did one last week. Can he do another? Call of the Forge God coming out. Trick jumping in, but they've reset. They're not going for it. It's not taken away as SK are unable to find it, and now the fight really begins as DanDan gets into the middle of them. And look at the damage. They're just swept in the river. Misfits take 4. They take the Baron, and they're TPing in for the win.
And you can hear it from the crowd. That was the bloodshed that they wanted. Finally, we got an explosive team fight where Qiyana really just hard flex on some kids with that ultimate.
More damage than the entire enemy team combined, I guess, at my quick maths. It's close.
We said it at the beginning of the game. When teams really need Baron to finish, picking a Qiyana is just going to be easy mode because eventually they will get hit by the Qiyana ultimate. Eventually it will pay off. It doesn't matter what our scoreline was in the game. The cherry on top was just the fact that Febiven had been playing pretty well for majority of it.
Especially when Trick's putting up some more walls for you to fight around. Misfits playing with their food a bit, but they will get their first win of the LEC in 2020.
Can we talk about that Baron swipe though? Because Gragas left the pit and had to flash back in.
That's fine. Mind games, folks.
I was hoping that the game wouldn't end off of that so we could get the replay, because that was like musical chairs.
Just swing around a rosy. Misfits, of course, elated with their first win of the split. You can see amazing there, holding Razork's head in his hands like, come on, man.
It was amazing. He got back in the pit and got the Baron. But he tried to zone out Trick, so as Trick's coming in, Gragas is going over the wall trying to disrupt him. Trick gets in the pit, Gragas is like, flashes back in and grabs the smite.
Do have to give Misfits credit though, because they did stop the Baron. As soon as they saw Trick coming in, I saw it tick up in health. I saw all of them say, okay, we need to kill Trick, we need to kill Trick. They managed to do it. If you guys want to get involved at home, the Kia Player of the Game vote is available on Twitter at LEC. Razork, Febiven, and Bvoy are your options. I think that man in the middle has to be high up on everyone's priority.
Yeah, I'm going to go with...